Commander Alice Wright sat at her desk in the Earth Defense Force headquarters. The clock on the wall showed 3:15 a.m. Most of the building was empty and quiet. Only a few night shift workers moved around in other rooms. Alice rubbed her tired eyes. She had been looking at reports for hours. Being in charge of communications meant she saw every message that came to Earth from space. 15 years had passed since humans joined the Galactic Council. At first, the alien races had been afraid. They called Earth a Class 12 death world. This meant Earth was one of the most dangerous planets known. The aliens thought humans must be very tough to live on such a world. They were right. Humans were stronger than most aliens. They could take more damage. They could live in places that would kill other species. This made the aliens nervous. As Alice prepared to go home, her screen flashed red. A new message was coming in. But this was strange. The message wasn't using normal channels. "Computer, identify source," she said. The computer's voice answered, "Unknown. Signal encrypted with non-standard protocol." Alice sat up straight. This could be important. Decrypt and display. The screen filled with text. Then a video appeared. Alice saw a thin, tall alien with purple skin and 4 arms. It looked scared. "This is Ambassador Telax of the Narration Union," the alien said. Its voice shook. "We send this message to Earth with our deepest hope. Our worlds are being attacked by the Vraxian horde. 3 of our planets have already fallen. Billions of my people are dead." Alice watched as the alien showed scenes of destruction. Cities burning. Ships exploding. People running. "We have asked the Galactic Council for help," Telax continued, "but no one will come. They say we are too far away. They say the risk is too great." The alien's large eyes seemed to stare right at Alice. "But we have heard stories about humans, about your strength, your courage, your strange desire to help others even at cost to yourselves. You are from a death world. What scares other species does not scare you." Alice felt her heart beating faster. "Please," Telax said. "We have perhaps 1 month before our homeworld falls. No one else will help us. You are our last hope." The message ended. Alice sat in silence for a moment. Then she grabbed her phone and called Admiral George Miller. It didn't matter that it was the middle of the night. "Sir, I'm sorry to wake you," she said when he answered. "But I just received an emergency transmission from a species called the Nilarians. They're being attacked and have asked for Earth's help." "The Nilarians?" Miller sounded surprised. "They're on the far side of Council space. Peaceful people. Plant-like. Why would they contact us specifically?" "Because no one else will help them, sir. And they think we can." Miller was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I'll call an emergency meeting. Have the full message ready to show. 6 hours, main conference room." Alice put down her phone. In 6 hours, Earth's leaders would decide if they would answer this call for help. As she prepared the message for the meeting, Alice thought about what the alien had said. Humans were feared because they came from a dangerous world. But maybe being dangerous wasn't always bad. Maybe sometimes the galaxy needed dangerous people to stand up to bigger threats. She looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, an entire species was waiting to see if humans would come to save them. 6 hours later, the United Earth Command headquarters in Geneva was buzzing with activity. In the main conference room, military leaders and government officials sat around a large table. The room had a view of the Swiss mountains, but no one was looking outside. Admiral George Miller stood at the front of the room. On the large screen behind him, the message from Ambassador Telax played again. When it ended, the room was quiet. "We have confirmed this message is genuine," Admiral Miller said. "The Nilarians are indeed under attack by a species called the Vraxians." A woman with short gray hair stood up. This was Dr. Samantha Powell, Earth's top alien expert. "The Vraxians are a hive mind species," she explained. "They operate as one unit, following orders from Queen Nodes. They don't communicate with other species. They just take what they want and destroy everything else. Captain Daniel Martinez raised his hand. With all respect, Admiral, is this really our fight? We barely have enough ships to protect our own colonies. Several people nodded in agreement. Lieutenant Kevin Chen jumped to his feet. He was young, only 30, but already respected for his tactical mind. If not us, then who? Lieutenant Chen asked. His voice was firm. We joined the galactic community for a reason. Was it just to trade goods and share technology? Or was it to be part of something bigger? The room grew tense as people began talking over each other. We can't risk our fleet on aliens we barely know. But they asked us directly for help. What if the Vraxians come for us next? Admiral Miller raised his hand for silence. Dr. Powell, what are our chances against these Vraxians? Dr. Powell frowned. The Vraxians are numerous, but not as physically strong as humans. Their advantage is in their numbers and their shared mind. They feel no fear, but they've never faced humans before. Captain Martinez looked worried. Our fleet is small compared to other council races. We have only 15 warships ready for deep space. But those ships were built to human standards, Lieutenant Chen pointed out. They're tougher than anything the council races have. And so are our people. Admiral Miller walked to the window and looked out at the mountains. For a moment, he was quiet. Then he turned back to the room. When we discovered we weren't alone in the universe, he said slowly, we had to ask ourselves what kind of galactic citizens we wanted to be. We didn't join the galactic community to watch innocent species perish. He walked to the main console and pressed a button. A map of the galaxy appeared. The journey to Nilarian space will take 2 weeks at maximum speed. That gives us 2 weeks to prepare and 2 weeks to arrive. The Nilarians estimate they have a month before their homeworld falls. Admiral Miller looked at each person in the room. I've made my decision. We will send help. The room exploded with voices again, but the Admiral continued. Operation Sanctuary is now active. Captain Martinez, I want our best ships prepared for departure in 2 weeks. Lieutenant Chen, you'll coordinate tactical planning. Dr. Powell, I need everything you can find on Vraxian weaknesses. He turned to Commander Alice Wright, who had been sitting quietly at the back of the room. Commander Wright, send a message to the Nilarians. Tell them, hold position. Help is coming. As the meeting ended and people rushed out to begin preparations, Lieutenant Chen stopped beside Alice. Do you think we can really help them? Alice asked quietly. Lieutenant Chen smiled. The aliens call us Deathworlders like it's something to be ashamed of. But maybe the galaxy needs some Deathworlders right now. As Alice sent the message to the distant Nilarians, she hoped he was right. The next 2 weeks were a blur of activity. Earth's most advanced warships were being prepared for the longest mission humans had ever attempted. The ships were moved to the large space dock above Earth. The flagship of the fleet was the U.S. Defender. It was the biggest and most powerful ship humans had ever built. Captain Lisa Rodriguez walked through the corridors of her ship, checking that everything was ready. Captain on deck. Someone called out as she entered the bridge. As you were, she said to her crew. Status report. Tactical Officer Ryan Johnson turned from his screen. All weapons systems are online and ready, Captain. The new gravity disruptors have been installed on all ships in the fleet. Captain Rodriguez nodded. The gravity disruptors were a new weapon. They could pull enemy ships off course or push them into each other. No other species in the galaxy had this technology yet. Engineering report, she asked. Chief Engineer Frank Wu's voice came through the speaker. Engines at full capacity, Captain. The new shields are stronger than anything we've tested before. If these Vraxians want to fight, they'll get more than they expected. Captain Rodriguez smiled. Frank was always confident. She needed that now. Medical Officer Olivia Green approached with a tablet. Medical Bay is fully stocked, Captain. We've prepared for all species we might encounter, including Nilarians and Vraxians. Good work, the captain said. "And our special forces. Commander Kyle Bishop and his Marines are loading their equipment now," Officer Johnson reported. "They're bringing enough firepower to start a small war." Captain Rodriguez nodded again. Bishop was the best soldier she knew. If anyone had to go onto a Vraxian ship or planet, she wanted it to be him and his team. She looked out the main window at the other ships of the fleet. 10 warships were going on this mission. They weren't as big as ships from other council races, but they were tough. Humans built things to last. A message came through on her personal device. It was from Admiral Miller. "Final briefing in 1 hour. All ship captains to attend." In the main briefing room of the space dock, Admiral Miller addressed the captains of all 10 ships. "You all know your mission," he said. "Travel to Nilarian space. Stop the Vraxian invasion. Save as many Nilarians as possible." He showed them a star map. "You will travel through 3 jump points to reach Nilarian space. Each jump will take 4 days. That means 12 days of travel if everything goes well." Captain Rodriguez studied the map carefully. Jump points were places where ships could travel faster than light. Without them, the journey would take years. "The Nilarians have sent us all the information they have on Vraxian ships and weapons," Admiral Miller continued. "Study it carefully during your journey." He looked at each captain in turn. "This isn't just about saving the Nilarians. It's about showing the galaxy what humanity stands for. We may be from a death world, but that doesn't make us monsters. It makes us strong enough to help others." After the briefing, the captains returned to their ships. Final preparations were made. Crew members said goodbye to their families through video calls. Then it was time. The 10 ships moved into position above Earth. "All ships report ready, Captain," Officer Johnson said. Captain Rodriguez took a deep breath. "Send the message to all ships. Prepare for jump." On each ship, engines powered up. The jump drives began to glow. "Jump in 3, 2, 1, jump," Captain Rodriguez ordered. In a flash of light, the Earth fleet disappeared into the first jump point. Their journey to save an alien race had begun. Back on Earth, Admiral Miller watched them go and hoped he had made the right decision. 12 days later, the Earth fleet exited the final jump point. They had arrived at the edge of Nilarian space. The crew of the U.S. Defender had spent the journey studying Vraxian tactics and preparing for battle. Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge, looking at the main screen. What she saw made her stomach sink. A nearby planet was surrounded by debris. Pieces of ships and stations floated in space. "Scan the area," she ordered. Officer Johnson worked at his station. "Multiple debris fields detected, Captain. Based on the materials, they appear to be Nilarian vessels. No life signs. Are there any Vraxian ships nearby?" Captain Rodriguez asked. "None detected in this system," Johnson replied. "But scans show heavy damage to the planet below. Cities have been destroyed." Captain Rodriguez frowned. They were too late to save this world. "Communications," she called out. "Any Nilarian signals in range?" Communications Officer Maria Santos, a young woman with quick hands and sharp ears, shook her head. "No official channels are active, Captain." She paused, adjusting something on her console. "Wait, I'm picking up a faint signal. It's using an old frequency." "Put it through," Captain Rodriguez ordered. A broken voice came through the speakers. The translator converted it to English. "Anyone hear us? This is Outpost Tulak 7. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under." The message cut off. "Can you trace it?" Captain Rodriguez asked. Officer Santos nodded. "Signal is coming from a small moon in the next system, about 2 hours away at maximum speed." Captain Rodriguez turned to Officer Johnson. "Alert the fleet. Set course for that moon. Maximum speed." 2 hours later, the Earth fleet arrived at a small rocky moon. It orbited a gas giant planet. Scans showed a small base built into the moon's surface. Still no Vraxian ships detected, Officer Johnson reported, but there are signs of recent weapons fire on the moon's surface. "Any life signs?" Captain Rodriguez asked. Yes, Johnson replied, sounding surprised. About 200 Nilarians in the underground sections of the base. Captain Rodriguez made a decision. Send a message to the base. Tell them we're from Earth, and we're here to help. The response was almost immediate. A video call came through. On the screen appeared a thin, purple alien with 4 arms. It looked just like the one from the original message, but this one had a scar across its face. This is Ambassador Telax of the Nilarian Union, the alien said. Are you really from Earth? Did you really come to help us? Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. I'm Captain Lisa Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force. We received your message and came as quickly as we could. Ambassador Telax's large eyes blinked rapidly. You actually came. The council said no one would. They said it was too dangerous. Danger doesn't scare us much, Captain Rodriguez said. We'd like to send a team to your base to talk in person. Soon, Captain Rodriguez, Officer Johnson, and Medical Officer Green were in a shuttle heading to the moon base. When they landed, they were met by a group of Nilarians. Up close, the aliens were even stranger than they looked on screen. They were tall, about 7 feet, with thin purple bodies. Their 4 arms moved gracefully. Their skin seemed to shimmer slightly, like it contained tiny lights under the surface. Ambassador Telax stepped forward. Welcome to what remains of our people. This outpost is one of the last Nilarian strongholds. The Vraxians have taken 6 of our systems already. Captain Rodriguez looked around at the damaged base. How many survived? Out of a population of 12 billion. Telax's voice was sad. Perhaps 1 million scattered across hidden bases like this one. Before they could talk more, an alarm sounded. A Nilarian rushed up to Telax. Vraxian scout ships just entered the system. The Nilarian said, panic in its voice. 3 vessels approaching our position. Captain Rodriguez touched her communicator. Defender, this is the captain. We have incoming hostiles. Prepare for battle. She looked at Telax. Looks like you're about to see what Earth ships can do. Captain Rodriguez rushed back to her ship as the Vraxian scouts approached. The shuttle docked with the U.S. Defender, and she sprinted to the bridge. Status report, she demanded as she took her command chair. 3 Vraxian scout ships approaching. Officer Johnson replied. They're moving fast. Weapons are hot. Have they detected us? Captain Rodriguez asked. They have now, Johnson said. They're changing course to intercept. Captain Rodriguez made a quick decision. Alert the fleet. Spread out. Formation Delta. Let's show them what Earth ships can do. On the main screen, the Vraxian ships came into view. They were strange-looking vessels, almost like giant insects made of metal. They had sharp points and glowed with red lights. They're hailing us, Communications Officer Santos reported, sounding surprised. Put them through, Captain Rodriguez ordered. The screen changed to show a Vraxian. It was nothing like the Nilarians. The Vraxian had a hard shell like a beetle, with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. Its voice sounded like machinery grinding. Unknown vessels, it said. You are interfering in Vraxian business. Leave now or be destroyed. Captain Rodriguez stood up. This is Captain Lisa Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force. We are here at the request of the Nilarian people. We demand that you cease your attacks and leave their territory. The Vraxian made a sound like metal scraping. It might have been laughter. Earth, the Deathworld. Your reputation is known to us, but you are few, and we are many. This is your only warning. The transmission cut off. They're powering weapons, Officer Johnson reported. All ships, defensive positions, Captain Rodriguez ordered. Let them fire first. The Vraxian ships launched their attack. Red energy beams shot toward the Earth vessels. But the humans were ready. Evasive maneuvers, Captain Rodriguez called out. The U.S. Defender moved with surprising speed for its size. Most of the Vraxian shots missed. The few that hit were absorbed by the shields. Return fire, Captain Rodriguez ordered. Target their weapon systems. The Earth ships fired back. Blue beams hit the Vraxian vessels. One of the scout ships spun out of control as its weapon array exploded. Launch fighters, Captain Rodriguez said. From the larger Earth ships, smaller fighter craft poured out. They were led by Lieutenant Patricia Diaz, the best pilot in the fleet. Fighter squad is away, Officer Johnson reported. Lieutenant Diaz is engaging the enemy. On the screen, they watched as the Earth fighters flew circles around the Vraxian ships. The alien vessels were fast, but the human pilots were better. They flew in ways that seemed impossible. They didn't expect us to be this good, Officer Johnson said with a smile. In engineering, Chief Wu was watching the battle data. He noticed something about the Vraxian weapons. Captain, he called through the comm system. Their energy weapons operate on a predictable frequency. I can modify our shields to block them better. Do it, Captain Rodriguez ordered. As the battle continued, the Earth ships gained the upper hand. One Vraxian scout was disabled. The other two were trying to retreat. Don't let them escape, Captain Rodriguez ordered. Commander Bishop, prepare your team for boarding the disabled vessel. We need information. Commander Kyle Bishop and his Special Forces team suited up in their combat gear. They boarded a small assault craft and launched toward the disabled Vraxian ship. We're docking now, Captain, Commander Bishop reported, cutting through their hull. A few tense minutes passed. Then Commander Bishop's voice came through again. Captain, you need to see this. These Vraxians, they're not individuals like us. They're all connected to some kind of central node. And we found data on their ship. These scouts were just the beginning. There's a much larger force coming. The remaining Vraxian scouts managed to jump away, but the Earth forces had won their first battle, and they had captured valuable information. On the moon base, Ambassador Telax watched the battle readings in amazement. In one battle, you've accomplished more than our entire defense force in a year, the ambassador said to Officer Green, who had stayed behind. Maybe we were right to call the Deathworlders after all. After the battle, the Earth fleet gathered at the Narration moon base. Captain Rodriguez called her officers to the main meeting room of the U.S. Defender. Commander Bishop had brought back data from the Vraxian ship, and everyone needed to hear what he had found. The Vraxians aren't like us, Commander Bishop explained, showing images on the main screen. They're a hive mind species. They all connect to these. The screen showed a strange, pulsing organism that looked like a giant brain. We call them Queen Nodes, Bishop continued. Each Vraxian fleet has one. The Queen controls all the Vraxian soldiers in its area. Without the Queen, the drones become confused and weak. Captain Rodriguez leaned forward. So if we take out the Queen, we take out the whole fleet, Bishop finished. Dr. Jason Ward, a scientist attached to the fleet, raised his hand. I've been studying the samples from the captured ship. The Vraxians communicate using chemical and electrical signals. We might be able to disrupt their connection to the Queen. This was the first good news they had heard. If they could break the connection between the Queen and her soldiers, they might have a chance against the larger Vraxian force. How do we find the Queen? Captain Rodriguez asked. Lieutenant Johnson stepped forward. The data from the scout ship contain navigation charts. I've identified what looks like their main base in this sector. It's a planet they've taken over about 2 days from here. Ambassador Telax joined the meeting, along with other Narration leaders. They had information to share too. The Vraxians have occupied 6 of our systems, Telax said. They don't just attack, they consume. They strip planets of resources and move on. We've been watching them for months. The Narration showed a map of their territory. Red dots marked planets taken by the Vraxians. Their pattern suggests they will attack these 3 systems next, Telax said, pointing to green dots on the map. Captain Rodriguez studied the map carefully. If we position our fleet here, she said, pointing to a spot between the systems, we could respond to any attack quickly. But what about the Queen? Commander Bishop asked. If we take her out, We could end this faster. The room grew quiet as everyone thought about the options. Then Captain Rodriguez made her decision. "We'll split our forces," she said. "Most of the fleet will protect the remaining Nilarian worlds. Meanwhile, a strike team will go after the Queen Node." It was a risky plan, but everyone agreed it was their best chance. As the meeting ended, a message came through from Earth. The flagship U.S. Valiant had arrived with fresh supplies and new weapons. Admiral Miller had sent reinforcements. Captain Rodriguez felt new hope. With these extra resources, their plan might work. The next day, the fleet prepared for the mission they were calling Operation Severance. The goal was clear: cut off the head of the Vraxian invasion. Engineers worked to modify weapons based on what they had learned. Dr. Ward developed a device that could disrupt the hive mind signal. The special forces trained for the assault on the Queen's location. Ambassador Telax watched all this activity with amazement. The Nilarians were a peaceful species. They had never seen such focused preparation for battle. "Your people move with such purpose," Telax said to Captain Rodriguez. "You don't hesitate." "On Earth, we learned that hesitation gets you killed," Rodriguez replied. "When danger comes, you either fight or you run. We decided long ago that running isn't our style." The ambassador's four hands moved in a gesture of respect. "The galaxy fears you because you come from a world that tried to kill you every day. But maybe that's exactly what we needed." As the final preparations were made, Captain Rodriguez addressed the combined Earth and Nilarian forces. The crew stood at attention. The Nilarians watched with their large eyes full of hope. "Today we bring the fight to them," Captain Rodriguez said. "They thought we would be easy prey like all the others. They were wrong. Today they learned what happens when you threaten someone under humanity's protection." A cheer went up from the human crew. Even the quiet Nilarians joined in. For the first time since the invasion began, they believed they might survive. The Earth fleet divided into three groups. Captain Rodriguez led the main assault force toward the planet where they believed the Queen Node was located. The other two groups went to protect Nilarian worlds that were still free. As they approached the Vraxian-controlled planet, sensors lit up with warnings. "Multiple enemy ships detected," Officer Johnson reported. "At least 30 vessels, various sizes." Captain Rodriguez nodded. They had expected heavy defenses. All ships, battle formation. Launch fighters. Lieutenant Diaz led her fighter squadron out into space. The small, fast ships zoomed toward the Vraxian fleet. "Remember your training," Diaz told her pilots. "They're bigger, but we're faster. Hit and run tactics." The human fighters darted between the massive Vraxian ships, firing at weak points, and then speeding away before the aliens could respond. The Vraxians had never faced enemies that moved like this. Their ships were designed to fight in formation, not chase small, agile targets. On the bridge of the U.S. Defender, Captain Rodriguez watched the battle unfold. "Get us closer to the planet," she ordered. "Commander Bishop needs to get his team to the surface." The Earth ships pushed forward, fighting through the Vraxian fleet. The aliens had more ships, but the humans had better tactics and technology. Chief Wu's modified shields held against the Vraxian weapons, and the gravity disruptors pushed enemy ships into each other's line of fire. Still, it was a hard fight. 3 Earth ships took heavy damage. One of Lieutenant Diaz's fighters exploded when it was caught between 2 Vraxian cruisers. "We're losing people," Officer Johnson said quietly. "Keep pushing," Captain Rodriguez replied. "We need to get Bishop to that planet." In the launch bay, Commander Bishop and his Special Forces team prepared for their mission. They wore heavy armor and carried advanced weapons. With them was Dr. Green, who would help injured team members, and Dr. Ward with his device to disrupt the hive mind. "Ready, team?" Bishop asked. His soldiers nodded. They were nervous but determined. Their dropship launched from the U.S. Defender, racing toward the planet's surface. Vraxian ships fired at them, but Lieutenant Diaz's fighters provided cover. "Good luck down there," Diaz said over the radio. "Save some Vraxians for us to fight on the way back," Bishop replied. The dropship broke through the atmosphere and headed toward a massive structure on the surface. Scans showed it was the central Vraxian base. 30 seconds to landing, the pilot called. When they landed, the team rushed out into a world of nightmares. The once beautiful Nilarian planet had been transformed. The ground was covered in a strange, pulsing material that looked like veins. The air smelled of chemicals. "This way," Bishop said, leading his team toward the central structure. "The Queen should be inside." They fought through waves of Vraxian drones. The insect-like aliens attacked in perfect coordination, but the human soldiers were stronger and more adaptable. When one tactic didn't work, they quickly tried another. Finally, they'd reached the center of the base. A massive door blocked their path. "Blow it," Bishop ordered. The team set charges and took cover. The explosion shook the ground. When the smoke cleared, they saw her. The Queen node was enormous, at least 20 feet tall. She looked like a giant version of the drones, but with a massive pulsing brain visible through a clear section of her shell. When she saw the humans, she made a sound that hurt their ears. "Humans," she said, her voice somehow in their heads rather than in the air. "You are strange creatures, so small, yet so troublesome." Commander Bishop stepped forward. "We're here to stop you. Leave Nilarian space or die." The Queen's many eyes blinked. "Your minds are so fragmented. Each of you thinks alone. How inefficient. Join us instead. Become part of the whole." Bishop felt a pressure in his head. The Queen was trying to break into his mind. "That's the thing about Deathworlders," Bishop said, fighting against her mental attack. "We evolved facing nature's worst. Your mind games are nothing." He nodded to Dr. Ward, who activated his device. A high-pitched sound filled the chamber. The Queen screamed. The sound was disrupting her connection to the hive. "Now," Bishop shouted. His team opened fire on the Queen. Their weapons tore through her shell. The Queen fought back, but her movements were growing confused, without the hive mind to guide them. The drones around her were disorganized. In space, the Vraxian ships suddenly began to move erratically. Their perfect formation fell apart. The Earth fleet pressed their advantage. Inside the base, the Queen made one last attempt to stop the humans. She lashed out with a physical attack, hitting Bishop and sending him flying across the room. But it was too late. The damage was done. With a final blast from their heaviest weapons, the Special Forces team destroyed the Queen node. The effect was immediate. All across the system, Vraxian drones stopped fighting. Some collapsed. Others wandered aimlessly. Commander Bishop picked himself up, injured but alive. "Captain," he called through his communicator. "Queen is down. I repeat, Queen is down." 2 weeks after the destruction of the Queen node, the Earth fleet gathered above a reclaimed Nilarian world. Without their Queen, the Vraxian forces had fallen apart. Some fled back to unknown regions of space. Others were captured or destroyed by the human ships. The Nilarians were already returning to their worlds. Though much was destroyed, they could rebuild. Their population might be small now, but they would survive. On the deck of the U.S. Defender, Captain Rodriguez looked out at the stars. The battle had cost them. 2 Earth ships were lost. Many good people had died, but they had saved an entire species from extinction. "Captain," Officer Johnson said, "the memorial service is ready to begin." Captain Rodriguez nodded and made her way to the large gathering area where the crews from all Earth ships had assembled. In the center of the room were pictures of those who had not survived the mission. Flowers from Earth and Nilarian plants surrounded them. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. "Today we honor those who gave their lives to save others. They came to a distant part of the galaxy to help people they had never met. There is no greater courage, no greater sacrifice." One by one, names were read. Each time, a bell rang. Human and Nilarian alike stood in silence, heads bowed. When the service ended, Captain Rodriguez met with Ambassador Telax and several officials who had arrived from the Galactic Council. The council representatives looked uncomfortable. They had refused to help the Nilarians, but humans had come anyway. The Nilarian Union formally requests an alliance with Earth, Ambassador Telex announced. Your people saved ours when no one else would. We will never forget that. One of the council representatives, a tall blue alien with 6 eyes, stepped forward. The council wishes to reconsider Earth's position. Perhaps we have been too quick to judge humans based on their homeworld. Captain Rodriguez smiled politely. She knew what this meant. The council had seen what Earth ships could do. They were no longer just afraid of humans. Now they respected them too. Admiral Miller appeared on the main screen, joining the meeting from Earth. We will consider all offers of friendship, he said diplomatically. Earth has always wanted to be a valuable member of the galactic community. After the meeting, Commander Bishop found Captain Rodriguez in a quiet corridor. How's the arm? She asked, noticing his bandage. Healing, he replied. Medical says I'll be good as new in a week. He paused. Was it worth it, Captain? All we lost. Captain Rodriguez looked out a window at the Nilarian planet below. People were returning to their homes. Children were playing again. Yes, she said simply. It was worth it. The next day, as the Earth fleet prepared for the long journey home, Communications Officer Santos brought unusual news to the bridge. Captain, we're receiving messages from multiple species across the galaxy, she reported. They've all heard what we did for the Nilarians. Some of them are asking for help with their own problems. Captain Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. What kind of problems? Pirates in the Orion sector. A disease outbreak near the Cygnus Arm. A territorial dispute in the Pleiades cluster. Santos looked up from her screen. It seems word has spread that if you need help, you should call Earth. Captain Rodriguez turned to Officer Johnson. Looks like we might be busy when we get home. As the Earth fleet jumped into hyperspace to begin their journey back, Admiral Miller sat in his office reading reports. The messages were pouring in from across the galaxy. Species that had once avoided humans were now seeking their protection. On his desk was a message from the Galactic Council. They wanted to create a new peacekeeping force, with humans at its center. Admiral Miller smiled as he looked out his window at the stars. Today, humanity showed the galaxy that being from a death world doesn't make us monsters, he said quietly. It makes us exactly who you want on your side when real monsters come calling. On a distant planet, a child of yet another species looked up at the night sky and asked, if monsters come, who will protect us? The parent pointed to a distant star. There are people who live on a world called Earth. They are strong and brave. If monsters come, we will call them, and they will answer.